Okay, so today, 118. So again, what we're doing is we're going to be simplifying trig expressions. Now I only have only two examples because we kind of know what we're doing. We're going to start hitting the harder ones, but example 1 definitely has a trick to it, okay? So it looks already simplified, doesn't it? It really doesn't look like there's much you can do. But I'm going to do a trick to this. I'm actually going to make it look worse, but then it's going to look better. I'm going to rewrite sine squared of theta. So if I look at my identities, this one's got a trick. That's why I want to do this one. So sine squared really can be rewritten as 1 minus cosine squared, right? So I'm going to take and I'm going to write that identity. Doesn't seem like I'm making it any better, but 1 minus a cosine squared theta over a 1 plus a cosine, so sloppy, theta. Okay. Now, maybe you see it, maybe you don't, but let me go ahead and put a little side work, a little algebra here. If I had 1 minus x squared, just algebra, this could factor into 1 plus x, 1 minus x. Okay, a little algebra, you guys remember that? Veronica, can I get it? You sure can. You didn't get it, huh? Right here. So I'm going to do the same thing with the cosine, 1 minus cosine. And I think you can see how that's going to help. So my 1 minus cosine can be factored into a 1 plus cosine and a 1 minus cosine all over the 1 plus cosine theta. Okay? And then cancel. And that is a nicer answer. And that's it. That is not a cosine squared. That's just a cosine. That is it. But it's still simpler than what we started with, right? So the trick was this. And that's why I wanted to show that one to you, okay? Okay, you guys ready? All right, now, this one's a little bit different. It's a proof. So all we have to do is somehow get this side to be a cosecant squared, right? Or get the cosecant squared to be all of this much. Well, we could do one or the other. It's pretty obvious what we do. We're going to simplify this. Hopefully we'll equal cosecant squared. Sometimes on these proofs, you have to work both sides. Does that make sense? Until you get an identity on both sides. Okay? Okay, so let's do an identity, see if we can simplify. So I'm going to see if I can simplify this first. 1 plus tangent squared. I'm going to look at that first. 1 plus tangent squared. I think I'm going to start there. Let's see. A 1 plus tangent squared is a secant squared. So let's do that first. Let's change this into a secant squared, okay? So I'm going to go, cotangent theta times a, what do we say, secant, right? Secant squared theta over a tangent theta needs to equal a cosecant squared theta. Okay, I'm not there yet. What would you do? I know what I would do. What would you do? Yeah, so let's change from sines to cosines, right? Or, yeah, so if I change this into a cosine over a sine, and then all over a sine over a cosine times a 1 over a cosine squared. That looks worse, doesn't it? Looks much, much, much worse, huh? Looks like a mess. But I think if I flip this, I invert multiply, right? I'm going to multiply this up and flip it.
Sorry, could you slow down?
Huh?
Could you slow down?
I sure will. Ellie, I do this. I'm so sorry. kind of a huge advantage. I've been doing this forever, so I'm going to be able to go through it quicker, and that's hardly fair to you. I have the smartest kids in school, and I'm still going too fast, huh? Okay? All right, so here's what I think. I got this big mess, right? So if I were to, invert and multiply here, because I get a fraction divided by a fraction, so I'm going to invert and multiply. Invert and multiply. Let's see what I'll have. Cosine theta sine theta times a 1 over a cosine squared theta times a cosine theta over a sine theta. I'm hopefully going to get a cosecant squared theta, okay? Now it looks like it's going to get easier for me, doesn't it? Jose, question?
Oh, no, I forgot it.
Okay, are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay, that's a cosine squared. You guys mind if I cancel out cosine for cosine squared? You guys all right with that? Right?
Yep.
What do I have left? Well, I got a 1 over a sine squared theta equals a cosecant squared theta. But that is cosecant squared, right? So then I get a cosecant squared theta equals a cosecant squared theta, and we are done. Ta-da! We got it. That's kind of a cool problem. Okay, so lots and lots of time. And I know that it can get boring if we need a mass break later on. We'll take a mass break later on, but let's get started on this. 15 to 24. It seems like a lot, but it's not that many. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of these, okay? And then 31, okay? So we'll do that. I gave you lots and lots and lots and lots of time because we probably need it, huh?